Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by sponsors.
Alyeska Pipeline Service Company, fueling philanthropic programs and dedicated to creating educational and professional opportunities for Alaska Native people.
The National Weather Service.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Kimberley Hoeppner, and today is December 7th, 2016. As we head into the summer solstice, those days are getting a little bit shorter and a little bit cooler weather on the way. So in just a moment, we'll be on to talk about your aviation, public, and marine forecasts. You can always check our weather out by dialing 1-800-472-0391. And as always, check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And you could always email with comments at the bottom of the screen here, nws.ar.tvweather@noaa.gov. Now, looking at the highlights of today, we can first focus over here on the south central areas. We have an area in red, and this is for Thompson Pass. This is for a blizzard warning that's has been upgraded from a wind chill advisory, as they're getting winds out there between 20 to 30 miles per hour with higher gusts up to 50 miles per hour. But then they're going to have a front move in with some snow, so that's going to reduce visibilities down to a quarter mile beginning around 9 a.m. on Thursday morning and running through 9 p.m. that evening. Now, looking out to the east, we have the front that's currently moving across the southeastern areas. So a winter storm warning out here along the southeast, and that's for additional snow totals between 2 to 5 inches through 9 p.m. this evening. And also we have a winter snow advisory for snow for Yakutat along the panhandle here. This is going to be running through 5 a.m. this morning, tomorrow morning on Thursday, as we're going to see some snow totals between 2 to 6 inches in these locations as a front moves in that direction. Looking at the satellite view today, the front is barely visible here on satellite, but you can see a little bit of the spin here just sitting east of Kodiak Island. A large plume of moisture extending ahead of this front, and that's what's providing the moisture along the system for the southeastern locations. Taking a look north, not a lot going across the northern tier of the state, as ridging is just parked over the eastern Beaufort Sea area. And then along the western areas of the state, putting this into motion one more time, we'll see this front that's tracking towards the central areas of the Bering and also the Aleutians, just to the west of Unalaska right now. We have some lower clouds just along the Alaska Peninsula, and this is just along a cold front that has moved through the area earlier in the day. So these are some low to mid-level clouds, bring some showery conditions. However, the system out to the west is bringing some rainfall. We have this range that's stretching from the Adak-Atka area with temperatures there in the 40s, extending up towards the northern areas of the Bering. So here's the frontal system that was parked and stretched across Kamchatka down towards the central areas of the Aleutians this afternoon. So the low pressure system is way up there to the north. So this frontal area is stretched over 300 to 400 miles, which is impressive. And then we have this colder air mass that's moving south ahead of that system, brings some gustier conditions along the Alaska Peninsula between 20 to 35 miles per hour, with snow showers all through the Alaska Peninsula out there and heading towards the eastern areas of the Aleutians. Now, the low pressure system this afternoon is a 1012 millibar low that's just sitting to the southeast of Kodiak Island. We have a rain area of rain across the northern part of the Gulf, extending back around just east of the Kenai, with a little bit of a mix just before you get to the coastal areas. Most of the coastal areas are seeing snow at this time. And then we have some light snow showers just along the Talkeetna Mountains, and then we've had some light snow shower activity along the eastern Copper River and just north towards Eagle. And then around the southeast, they saw snow today across Juneau between 10 to 12 inches already reported by noon. And around Pelican, they saw totals be up to 20 inches. And we're expecting additional totals to bring a range for Juneau and the Pelican area between 20 to 30 inches and all the way up to 36 inches actually for Pelican. They could see those high amounts by this evening by 9 to 10 p.m. And then the system will begin to weaken as it further moves towards the towards the west, as the system just kind of lingers to the southeast of Kodiak. The system out across the Bering will hold steady overnight with the rain line not moving much further to the east, and then we'll see some light snow shower activity across the central Bering. Main impacts across the north and northwestern areas are just going to be some cold temperatures, especially in the Dead Horse and south towards the Arctic Village. They're going to see temperatures between 20 to 40 below zero. So coldest temperatures are going to occur across the northeastern areas of the state. However, those wind chills across the Thompson Pass area are going to be fairly extreme in the 40 to 50 below zero range as well. And then we also see a tighter gradient along the coastal areas setting up for offshore flow pattern. So around Seward, we'll see gustier conditions through this region, and also a little bit of a northerly flow gusting at times on the western areas of the Gulf. Looking at your forecast into Thursday, here's the system weakening. However, enough moisture is going to be moving across this area from the Gulf that we're going to see continued snow chances. And with that tighter gradient, with the ridge building from the north, this is going to be forcing the offshore flow and bringing those gusty blizzard conditions down to a quarter-mile visibility, for Thompson Pass through 9 p.m. tomorrow night. Now looking at the southeast, they're going to hang on to their gusts as well as this ridge pulls over to the west, keeping that gradient tight. Looking at the inner channels gusting up to 30 miles per hour with higher gusts up to 50 miles per hour, and especially through the channels as you head through your Thursday forecast. We're not going to see much of an improvement. However, the moisture, that's going to be tapering off later this evening and overnight. Across the western areas of the state, expect just some light showery conditions across the Alaska Peninsula, with ridging pulling into the western areas of Shemya, so that out towards Shemya into Adak. So they'll get a break from moisture on your Thursday with this frontal system beginning to break up. However, on Friday we have another system that's going to be quickly moving up to the Aleutians. Not sure how far north of a progress it's going to make on Friday, but it looks like it'll reach just about to the areas of Shemya, bring that southeasterly flow once again, and some rain showers up just to the west of Adak and Atka. Showery conditions continuing around the backside of this low pressure system that doesn't really move very much. It just kind of reestablishes itself, and the gradient stays very strong across the southern areas of the state, including the southeast. So as the ridge is a very strong ridge, kind of shifts over to the northwestern areas of the state, that's going to keep the offshore flow in place. And with that weak boundary settling just to the north of this low pressure system, that'll bring some light snow shower activity, but colder temperatures definitely setting in as we head towards Friday. As this cold air mass kind of advects around, and the low pressure system just to the southeast of the Gulf, here at the Dixon entrance, you can see this low pressure system is going to start shoving off to the east direction, and that is pushing a warm front along with it, and settling around this system will be nothing but colder temperatures all across the region. So it's not going to make the temperatures much colder across the south central areas and just inland, because they're probably as cold as they're going to get into Thursday. So just maintaining those steadier cold temperatures through the end of the week is what you can expect. And then across the northwestern areas, they'll actually see those winds lighten up as that ridge settles across just north of the Brooks Range. Now looking at your temperatures from today is quite cool, even all the way as far south as Ketchikan. Temperatures dropping down to 29 this afternoon for Ketchikan, and then mainly in the upper 20s to lower 30s across the southeast into the Panhandle, and then colder temperatures all the way around through the Kenai into the lower 20s, with temperatures just inland 20 to 30 below, with a colder temperatures this afternoon over there at Arctic Village, only negative 25 degrees. Actually, they warmed slightly after 4 p.m. And then across the north and northwestern areas of the state, temperatures are all between 10 to 20 below. Now across the western areas of the state, a little bit of a climb in temperatures, closer to zero as you get across the southwest, with King Salmon coming in around 1 degree, and then Dillingham 6 degrees. So generally all in the single digits there across the southwest. It's not until you get to the Alaska Peninsula where they climbed up into the 25 to 30 degree range, with Shemya seeing the warmest temperatures today at 42 degrees. Most of the Bering, or half the Bering, was under temperatures just under freezing, and the other half was in between 40 to 42 degrees. Looking at your temperatures for tonight, we're expecting temperatures to pretty much get a little bit cooler across much of the state tonight. These temperatures might be a little bit warmer than expected, but like I said, they're kind of going to mediate from what they were today. There's not going to be a whole lot of change, so nearly steady for temperatures overnight, actually just warming a little bit across the southwest coast. Actually, southwest will probably be in the 10 degree range to 15 degree range across the Alaska Peninsula. These temperatures look a little bit warm that we pulled from our forecast today, but temperatures are fairly uniform across the southeast overnight in the mid-20s to near 30 degrees, with that frontal system backing around to the south. Southwestern areas of the state, with mainly the western areas of the Gulf seeing temperatures in the mid-30s. Not much diurnal change through tomorrow. These temperatures tomorrow is what you're probably going to see as you head into the morning, and they're not going to change. There's not going to be much of a diurnal range. Shorter daylight hours is really going to be representative of temperatures below zero, 10 to 20 degrees below zero across the north coast, possibly warming up to the single digits during the day. Across the central areas of the state, between 20 to 35 degree below zero. And like I said, temperatures across the southwest, they're going to be nearly steady in the single digits, the Alaska Peninsula in the mid-20s to lower 20 range. And across the western areas of the Bering, not much change there in the lower 40s, with the warmest temperatures probably going to occur at Atka and Adak tomorrow around 42 degrees. Now looking at your flying weather for tomorrow, you can see much of the area of the state is going to be under VFR conditions. All the weather focus is going to be around the low pressure system there in the Gulf of Alaska and out there in the central areas of the Bering. A small band of IFR conditions expected along the frontal boundary, and then mainly just MVFR conditions across the central and western areas of the Bering. For your morning, and then across the Alaska Peninsula, expect MVFR conditions, and mainly MVFR conditions around the Gulf and the surrounding coast, with brief IFR conditions around the low pressure system. Bring that snow band across tomorrow. Now your flying weather is not going to see too much improvement, and a matter of fact, we're probably going to see more of an IFR condition quickly settle in for the eastern areas, the Copper River down there through the northeastern Gulf Coast and the parts of the Prince William Sound. So be on the lookout for MVFR conditions across the area waters and coastal, with VFR conditions across the northern tier of the state, and MVFR and IFR conditions across much of the Bering. Breaking that into the passes, the Anatuvik Pass will be VFR as well as Adigan Pass, and then we'll see both Merrill and Lake Clark go VFR to MVFR in the afternoon, and then Rainy Pass will be VFR most of the day, and Windy Pass will be VFR. Looking at Isabel, probably staying MVFR through the afternoon. And then Mentasta Pass, we have VFR going to MVFR, probably will come down to MVFR a little bit sooner in the morning. Tanita will go MVFR to VFR in the afternoon, and then Portage will go MVFR to VFR. For Chilkoot and White Pass, they'll go MVFR and then improve during the day to VFR. The freezing levels tomorrow will be just across the central areas of the Bering there and swinging back towards the coast, and then the 2,000-foot level will just be off into the Gulf and also across the central areas of the Bering and down through ADAC climbing just to the south there to 4,000 feet. And then let's take a look at your icing concerns there from Kodiak and the Alaska Peninsula and out along the central and western areas of the Bering. Looking at your jet stream, we're going to see a little bit of a change in the jet stream with a southerly movement to the jet stream along the western coast there. The strongest jet is going to be centered just along the southern areas of the Bering, with the flow rounding the low pressure system out there in the Gulf. At your 9,000-foot level, you're going to see the stronger 40 to 45 knot winds across the north and western areas of the state, just picking up a jet speed there, with the turn the winds just along the coast there at 35 knots. And then the other concern is going to be just approaching the Aleutians here, 35 knots out of the north to northwestern locations, and a northerly flow across the Alaska Peninsula. Very similar pattern there at the 3,000-foot level, bringing turbulence across the central areas of the state back towards the Bering and across the northern areas of the Gulf. In just a moment, we'll be back with your marine forecast.
Now, sky cover can be layers other than clouds, such as layers of smoke or dust aloft. That's not too uncommon, particularly out west during forest fire season, to have layers of smoke aloft. If the sky cover layer is anything other than clouds, that will be indicated in the remarks section. For instance, if you have a layer that is broken at 3,000 feet and it's smoke, what you would see in the remarks would be FU for smoke, broken at 3,000 feet, indicating to you that that layer, that sky condition, is smoke rather than being clouds. Let's talk now about vertical visibility. Vertical visibility, the abbreviation VV, is what you'll see when there is an indefinite ceiling at the airport. Now, a report of vertical visibility means that there is an obscuring phenomenon that is on the surface and hides the entire sky. The vertical visibility is the distance you can see by looking straight up into that obscuration. So if you took a look at our METAR, if you saw something that said VV005 in the sky condition, what that would tell you is there is an indefinite ceiling with vertical visibility into that obscuration of 500 feet. Now, if there is an obscuration that covers only a part of the sky, if there is a partial obscuration, reporting that requires the use of weather phenomena as well as sky conditions, and also a remark giving the phenomena that's causing that partial obscuration. Now, METAR does not make any distinction in the body of the report between an obscuration and a cloud layer. What it does is it simply encodes a partial obscuration as a layer whose base is below 50 feet. And if the base is below 50 feet, the layer contraction will be followed by a height indicator of 0, 0, 0. The layer amount contraction they use is determined by the total amount of the sky obscured, the same contractions that we saw earlier for clouds. Few is more than 0 to 2/8, scattered is 3/8 to 4/8, and broken is 5/8 to 7/8. If it were 8/8, if it were solid, it would not be a partial obscuration. And notice that the 3 zeros after each of those, the few, scattered, the broken, is giving you a base layer less than 50 feet. how we can code the obscuration. Now, if the weather phenomena is a partial obscuration, not just a low cloud layer, it's identified both in the body of the report and in the remarks section. For instance, if fog is obscuring 3/8 of the sky, here's how it would be coded in the METAR. 3/8 is scattered. Remember, scattered is 3/8 to 4/8. It would be scattered at 0, 0, 0. And in the remarks section, you would see the comment, fog is that scattered cloud information. Now, a ground-based or surface-based obscuration comes right down to the ground or right up from it in the case of obscurations like blowing snow and blowing dust. If no remarks are shown, if these remarks are not there, it actually is a very low cloud layer, less than 50 feet AGL, and not a ground-based obscuration.
Does this shot remind you of the concept of temperature? Well, it certainly does me. So let's talk about how temperature and dew point are reported in a METAR. First of all, the temperature and dew point are reported in whole degrees Celsius. Here you have 18 degrees Celsius, which is the temperature, and 16 degrees Celsius, which is the dew point. Now, in the event that the temperature and or the dew point are below 0, they'll put an M there first, and that stands for minus, would be a minus 18. Now, in this case, it's 18 degrees C and 16 degrees C, and probably the most difficulty anybody's going to have with this concept of the METAR is getting familiar with these Celsius temperatures. Right now, we don't know, is 18 degrees C hot, cold, comfortable, what? Well, there is an official formula for converting Celsius to Fahrenheit. It goes like this. The standard formula is you take the temperature in degrees C or Celsius, multiply that times 1.8, add 32, and that's your temperature in degrees F for Fahrenheit. Well, we have a friend who's just absolutely brilliant. He says, now, wait a minute, that's complicated. People have trouble multiplying times 1.8. Let's do it the easy way. And the easy way is take the temperature in degrees Celsius, multiply by 2, and add 30. And in between about 0 degrees C and 20 degrees C, it's going to come really, really close. And that's the easy way to do it, and it works every time. So take the temperature in degrees C, multiply times 2, add 30, and that's going to be pretty close to the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit if you're between 0 and 20 degrees C. Now, here are some guidelines to make this easy to remember. 30 degrees C, that's t-shirt weather. It's about 86 degrees Fahrenheit. 20 degrees C, that's long sleeve weather. It's about 68 degrees Fahrenheit. 10 degrees C, that's sweater weather, that's 50 degrees Fahrenheit. 0 degrees C is coat weather, that's 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And anything colder than that, you just forget about it. It's parka weather, brr, that's not extended mist, that's cold, that's brr.
Welcome back to the show, and now on to your marine forecast. Taking a look at the ice edge, we're seeing an westward progress with the ice around 25 nautical miles per day. You can see that Nunivak Island is completely surrounded by ice at this point, and we're going to see some of the winds just slacken off in 2 days, so that's going to allow actually for the ice to develop as they develop a little bit of a lighter southeasterly flow up across and north to the Bering Strait. Now looking at towards the southeast, they're actually going to see some freezing spray across the northern channels tomorrow, with those winds gusting between 30 and 40 knots across most of the northern channels, and then towards the Dixon entrance turning a little bit more easterly, and the outer water staying out of the east as well. Small craft advisories out there, with gales to the north on both the inner and outer waters. Looking at seas across the inner channels between 5 to 6 feet, and the outer waters will be higher between 11 to 13 feet to the north, a little bit lower, 9 to 8 feet to the south there. Higher gusts across those areas for tomorrow. And then Friday, keeping those winds gusty in pretty much the same east to north direction across the entire area. Seas will be the same between 5 to 6 feet across the inner channels, a little bit lower in the outer waters between 8 to 10 feet. Looking at the south central forecast, you're along the entire area, we're going to see north to northeasterly flow, mainly just small crafts except there in the Shelikof Strait at gales for your Thursday forecast, and then we'll see seas 4 to 12 feet, and then across the most of the Gulf we'll see 6 to 8 feet, and then 9 feet there to the north, with the Prince William Sound seeing 4-foot seas for Friday. We get into a little bit of a lighter wind pattern with some small crafts across the area, still remaining out of the north and easterly direction for much of the area, with the seas a little bit lower on this day, mainly between 8 to 9 feet across the open water areas and around 3 feet across the northern inlet and Prince William Sound. Looking for those strong winds not being so strong for the Alaska Peninsula on Thursday, and primarily a north direction. So a little bit of a break there, 15 to 25 knots, small crafts just to the southeast side of the peninsula. And then as we head into your Friday, wind speeds will be between 20 to 25 knots. So a little bit stronger there out of the north direction, 7 to 9 foot seas on Friday. Looking at the Aleutians on your Thursday forecast, expect the strongest winds across the central areas of the Aleutians, and we'll see between 10 to 30 knots across the entire area. So lots of small crafts out there. Highest seas out towards the west at 18 feet with 7 to 10 foot seas elsewhere. It's up on the Pacific side between 10 to 13 feet. On your Friday, look for a change of wind direction across the entire chain. Out of the east direction mainly, it's up a little bit more northwesterly across the northern side of the eastern Aleutians there. Seas on this day will be between 8 to 16 feet. The highest seas out towards the west. For your west coast, expect that northeasterly flow as well, with seas between 6 to 8 feet, a little bit higher to 13 feet out there across the northern areas of the Bering. Winds also changing direction from southeast tonight, becoming more easterly during the day tomorrow. And looking at a northeasterly flow again for your Friday forecast, small crafts across much of the area again, with seas between 6 to 9 feet. Now looking at your northwest coast, Kotzebue Sound, we'll see lighter wind speeds between 15 to 20 knots, and then wrapping around the coast, more of a southerly flow between 5 to 10 knots. Seas on this day will be between 2 to 3 feet, as well as your Friday, becoming a little bit lighter with the wind speeds across the area. Now let's do a quick recap on your forecast tonight. You've got some winter weather watches, advisories and warnings out towards the southeast for 2 to 6 inches of snow, with the higher snow amounts towards Yakutat. And then we have the blizzard warning out there for Thompson past 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. tomorrow night, as they have reduced visibilities from blowing snow, winds between 30 to 50 miles per hour, and then visibility is down to 1/4 of a mile. Most action across the south areas of the state as we head into your Thursday, except for the diminishing front across the Bering. And once again, we'll just see some light snow shower activity across the south central areas at the end of the week. We'll be with you again tomorrow.
These
Have a great night.
forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Support comes from the University of Alaska College Savings Plan, helping you and your child save for college every step of the way, from diapers to diploma. More information at uacollegesavings.com.